Good afternoon. It is day 37 of Marcus Aurelius and me, and today's meditation is a little stoically morbid as he talks about death again. He's good for that. Today's 37th meditation begins on the verge of dying, and still weighed down, still turbulent, still convinced external things can harm you, still rude to other people, still not acknowledging the truth that wisdom is justice. Wisdom is justice. Day 37, Marcus Aurelius, Meditations in Book 4. So if you accept that we're all going to die someday, because a lot of people never contemplate that, they're not even aware. You don't know how many people I've talked to that have never contemplated their death, and that it could be at any time. It really puts life into perspective when you stress out about things, or if you've been rude and you're like, well, that could be the last time I saw that person, and how did you treat them? But a lot of people don't live like that. They live the opposite of the song by Queen, Who Wants to Live Forever. These people think they're going to live forever. And I think that's what Marcus is saying, still not acknowledging the truth that wisdom of your eventual demise is justice. That eventually you too are going to die, and what legacy or what will you leave behind? Were you kind to people or not? Did you hold grudges forever? Did you let things go? And did you know when certain things with certain people had to end too? Because sometimes things do have to end, and there doesn't need to be hatred. It's just a parting of the ways, parting of two different seas, so to speak. So, what he's saying is that a lot of people on their deathbed too are weighed down by past mistakes, by either injustices done to them or injustices that they have perpetrated on others, and they have not made peace with their Father in heaven and understood the sacrifice on the cross for us Christians. Because if you understand that it was finished on the cross, then you realize that all the mistakes that you've made, Jesus took them and bore them for you, which can give you a great peace as you're lying on a deathbed and you're plagued by past mistakes or past misgivings by other people. Basically, you should have a clean heart when you pass. A lot of people have trouble passing if their hearts aren't clean and they haven't made peace with life. So it's a good Marcus. It's great to think about. It's also an acceptance and a serenity that sometimes relationships or things that have happened just can't be reconciled in this physical world. Perhaps aren't explained till you get to the spiritual world. Our human ego wants to know why did that person do that, or why didn't. We're always questioning if we can't still our mind and we are not one with the Father. So it's a great talk, or a great little meditation, because certainly wisdom is justice. And we live in a world that is riddled, actually plagued by injustice. There's injustices everywhere. So that leads to the fact that there's not much wisdom in this world, is there? There's a lot of injustice. And it's certainly never going to be a utopia. And certainly none of us are perfect. There's only one perfect man. So it's a great reading from Marcus. And although he had quite a lot of wisdom as an earthly king, I think he knew he was not a heavenly king. He was an earthly king. And they're flawed, whether they be presidents or whether they be kings, with all this political baloney. You know, someone is only what you've been told. So if the media is telling you, or this side of the bird, this wing of the bird, is telling you that Trump is acting like he's a king, that doesn't mean you have to believe it. That's just what they're saying. So, nothing new under the sun, is there? Nothing new. Not even storms. We're in the path of more storms today, maybe. Certainly a lot of rain has fallen, and it feels like the bayou here. Anyway, have a great day. Peace be with you. Get your copy of Marcus Aurelius. Maybe if people started reading this, the world would become a more wise and just place to exist for a lot of people. Wisdom and justice for all. Wyatt, are these fleas being just and having any wisdom? Say, no, Mom, they're insects. I read that story yesterday about the heart of White Horse. And the old chief in the story, putting his horse down, said that the natives had a saying, it's a good day to die. Other cultures have lived with the fact that death could be around the corner at any time, but as I've been out in the world talking to people, a lot of people have never contemplated their death. I don't know if they're not conscious or I don't know. I hope after COVID it kind of woke people up that, you know, you're not immortal in that sense, in this physical body. Anyway, I think a good thing to ask ourselves is, are we trying to become wiser? And are we trying to be juster in life? Are we trying to become more just as we age and wiser? Because certainly we live in a very immature culture that doesn't really promote a lot of wisdom. And then, if you get too involved in religion, there's too many laws, like the days of Moses, that disregard even laws from the state, because now certainly that's all been blended together. So, it's a very good reading from Marcus today, and helps you to take stock of our lives, because no one should be on their deathbed still lamenting about past things they've done wrong, especially if they're a Christian. And a good friend of mine, Ken, who passed away, him and I had discussed that one time. Not Nats, but we had discussed how a lot of people that aren't Christians have a very difficult time passing, because they haven't seemed to make peace, a lot of people, with things that have happened to them. They haven't achieved that peace, and often they hang on for a very long time and have a lot of emotional and physical and spiritual suffering even. So it's good to make peace with people and things, and if you can't, well, then at least you know you tried. You can go to bed at night and say, I tried. Anyway, wisdom and justice for all. Day 37 with Marcus. something good to meditate upon? Are you working towards becoming more wise and more just? And make no mistake, by just, I don't mean that, there's some kind of rigid religiosity into how you view things. Justice is a very, it's a balancing of the scales. You have to really weigh things to make sure that things are being just. So it takes some time, some reflection, and some good thought. Justice. It's a sad thing because a lot of our justice system here in the countries has become so corrupt when it's supposed to be a free society, as JFK told us. So justice often isn't achieved down here by the state's means. Often we have to pray for God's justice. Anyway, and accept, when we have our own justice served to us. Certainly, sometimes we can be our own worst enemies down here. Anyway, further reflections on meditations. The clouds are looking a little grayish, but they don't really look like thunder's on the way or storms. Maybe it's going to swirl around Hampshire County, or maybe around my mountain at least, I hope. We did have a downpour out towards the road more earlier when I was at work, and it's so soggy out here. It feels like you're down on the bayou and the bugs are getting buggy. And I was joking around with some people saying the Holy Ghost of Phil Robertson has brought us Alabama bayou weather to West Virginia. His Holy Ghost Spirit has brought us some Alabama weather. I rode my horse in Alabama years ago. Stayed at a camp there, and don't ask me the name of the city. I can't remember. It was a good ride. Better than when I rode in Florida. But the best part about that ride was how that camp made you feel like family. The place that this trail ride competition was held at, it really made you feel, the owners made you feel like you belong. And they even sent us Christmas cards that following year. And just really good, wholesome people down in Alabama. So, anyway, this breeze is at least taking away some of that humidity, because it is soupy and buggy out here on the mountains today. Wyatt, are you needing a bath today? Are you buggy? I know you don't want to hear this, but you're going to have to get a bath today. You want a bath? I know he doesn't want to hear it, but the fleas are back. And I don't use all those pharmaceutical products, so it'll be a Dawn dish soap bath for Wyatt this evening as we try to go through another summer infested with fleas. That's one thing I'd like to ask our Father. Why did you invent fleas?